Okay, I'm so sorry. I do not have a good way to screen record my PS5 at the moment. I don't have my mic anymore, and I need to get a new one, but that's kind of coming with studio upgrades. So for the moment, I'm going to use just my phone to record. And what I just kind of realized is I bought Microsoft Flight Sim 2025. And I decided to go back to where I used to live and walk around a little bit, the downtown area. And weirdly, this bizarre, fairly realistic but really badly redone, abstractified version of reality is weirdly analogous to my vision. And I wanted to talk about that because I think you being able to actually see this and me being able to explain how my vision works might make part of how I've tried to explain my vision before make sense. So what we're looking at here is a bridge, and over the bridge there is the river, also known as Silver Lake, and it's so weird because I don't see things as blurry, but blurriness being kind of a approximation of the way things are laid out is a really good analogy for my vision. So again, I don't see things as being blurry, but this right here, it's a kind of a grassy patch that goes onto a sidewalk that then goes back to a baseball field that this game has so kindly rendered as an apartment building with a baseball field on it. It's hilarious. But it's a pretty good representation of the way that I used to use the vision I did have to pick out, like this spot, there was a funky little turn here, and then you'd kind of like MacGyver your way along the pathway down into the parking lot over to the ballpark. The other thing is I'm trying to move slow so as not to make anybody hopefully too motion sick. There's an apartment building right here that this is fairly close to, visually, I think. But this is like how I visually remember this apartment building. Again, the weird gray building next door and then another one over there are the game being not able to properly render Rochester because we don't have like the photogrammetry of some of the bigger cities. But like this area looks pretty accurate to like where I used to walk down that way to go to work. And what I want to do is if I can get the camera in a semi-reasonable spot and walk forward, we'll go on a virtual walk here. I also appreciate that this game doesn't really let you go sprinting everywhere. There's not crazy amount of traffic, so we probably won't get hit by a car as I say that. Okay, hold on. Let me get off to the side a little bit more. Trying to do this with one hand while recording, so bear with me. This is pretty accurate to the way that downtown appears. And what's interesting is, again, this is not really downtown. It's like a proximate, based on the satellite images and all that sort of thing. I'm drifting and just wandering in the road. Hey, kids, don't walk in the road. Just a pointer. But we'll keep rolling here. It's interesting. Oops, I'm really not doing good at this one-handed recording and doing the thing. Okay. But what's wild to me is that this is like kind of how my vision works when I'm walking in a space, right? So I can tell you there's big building on the left-hand side of the screen that we're walking by now. There's like the Civic Theater, and then there's a big hotel here, kind of at the end. And once we get closer to the hotel, I'll see how accurate, my vision versus this reality is. But it's so interesting to me because this is not exactly the way any of this looks. And if you've ever been downtown Rochester, you'll probably be able to be like, what in the AI is going on here? This is a really good analogy for my vision. Again, not everything is blurry, but it's the fact that these buildings and these things to me exists almost more as a concept than they do like as actual objects, if that makes sense. And so if something changes abruptly, that often doesn't like translate to my vision, which is so weird to have that kind of be simulated here. So we'll see again when we get up to this hotel how much of it is accurate, because there's some funky idiosyncrasies of this building. And actually, I can see a apartment building near. So I used to live in a building kind of in this direction, and that apartment building looks about right. I think it has put buildings where maybe there was like fences. So a lot of these aren't here, which is interesting, or they're here but they're different. So that's kind of an interesting aside. But in the bottom of this hotel here, there's like a fake train station. They put in like benches and there's these little arches, and it's very interesting because the only train that comes through here is this very bizarre, like 1 boxcar long train that who knows what they're, doing with that. But we're coming up onto the hotel here. It's just so interesting to me that there's actually, and again, I don't know how many times I need to say I don't see things blurry, but it's the approximation of reality that is so bang on to like the way that my vision is. It's so weird being able to actually see a video game do that justice. And so here, I think we're coming upon some very tall railroad tracks. So, this is weird. Okay, this whole, like, intersection looks very bizarre. That building is not that color, at all. Not even close. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that one looks pretty accurate, and then we'll mosey on this direction. Sorry if this isn't the most entertaining and or if I'm making you motion sick in the process of recording this, but I just thought this was such an interesting, I guess, simulation of being me. My buddy and I used to always joke that there was going to be Blind Simulator as a game, and I think this gets about the closest you can get. So here is this hotel, which is not inaccurate, but it could be better. There's a lot more, like, this is all glass, like there's lots of windows along the side here. Well, there's some windows, I suppose, or some doors. It's guessing, and it's a bit of both, and it's, I mean, not horrible. That looks a little bit better. Interesting. Also, sorry, my cat is right near here and being obnoxious, as he tends to do. All right, so, wow, we have mysteriously just appeared at the end of the hotel. And then we go this way, and you hit Broadway, which is kind of one of the main streets here. And what I wanted to see is if they attempted to model the Skyways, which I don't see. And that's wrong on so many levels. That's so weird. Because Rochester has several of them kind of connecting buildings, and to not see them in video game form is very bizarre. I think I'll leave this one here. We went on a little stroll, and some of this looks pretty accurate, some of it does not. It's just really interesting walking places and realizing how much of it isn't exactly as it's supposed to be. So yeah, I don't know. I hope this was interesting for you. I'm happy to do more things like this. If you have any questions, let me know, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.